My name is Wyatt Mercer. It started when Mason Reed from Fairview, Ohio came back to the shop and showed me the rash on his arms. I worked at a small costume rental on Main Street. We did Halloween for the town. That is how it began. We sent out a big batch for the block party. A week later, the boy came in with neat red squares across his forearms. His mom rolled up the sleeve and there was a sliver of cloth sewn into the seam. It did not match our stock. I checked the racks. Nothing matched. Our checkout log had one line I did not like. That night, an order was marked special pickup. Signed with a first name none of us knew. Jonas. We pulled the outside camera. The man left wearing a costume with another face painted over his own. On replay, his shadow lagged behind his steps by almost a full second. Parents came back with clothes inside out. Tiny stitches inside seams. When we laid garments side by side, the stitches lined up into one long mark. Place 3 sweaters from different houses in a row, and the little stitches formed a single symbol. I felt sick the first time I saw that. The owner tried to joke and said, "Maybe a weird seamstress." I forced a laugh. That night I put a pile of returned costumes in my car. I woke up at 2 and could not sleep. I opened the bag with a flashlight. I kept matching seams. My hands were shaking. I hummed to be quiet. In the cape, I found tiny stitches I had not seen before. I sat with the cape on my lap and counted the stitches until I lost track. I fell asleep there, clothes on the floor, and woke to the sun and the smell of a coffee from the diner next door. Under the register, I found a yellowed receipt, dated 1987, an estimate for a pageant. It was billed to an address that is now an empty lot downtown. The lot has grass and a rusted sign. Once there was a house there, the older folks say. The date on the paper made my skin prickle. The pediatrician called. 3 kids had the same scar on their wrists. She wrote, "Unusual neural responses." The kids would flinch at a beep and their eyes would go blank for a beat. She sounded tired. I tried to be practical. I inventoried everything. I called suppliers. The stitches kept showing up. The scar matched the stitched symbol. The camera still showed the man and the lagging shadow. One night I stayed late. The bell over the door scraped. The shop smelled of felt and glue. On the alley cam, a figure walked by in costume with paint like another face. The shadow moved slow. I hit pause and watched the foot hit pavement, and then the shadow follow later. I did not leave. Cops came after more parents complained. They checked the empty lot and found nothing but old concrete and weeds. The report said the camera might have a frame delay. I wanted to believe that. A mom brought a sleeve with a pattern pressed into the fabric. Her boy kept scratching and said he dreamed of a line. The pediatrician sent a photo. The 3 scars matched the stitched symbol. The doctor's notes said the kid showed odd neural sparks on tests. I felt small. At night, I replay the footage in my head and try to find a reason for the lag still. The block party was canceled. The shop lost a season. I left the job, not brave. I went because I could not handle how the seam felt under my thumb. I still check sleeves when I buy a shirt. I drive by the empty lot sometimes and park a block away. Sometimes a shadow on the grass seems to lag like the one in our footage. Maybe it's a trick of light, maybe it's not. I tell the story like this because friends ask. Small things. The bell was loose, the neighbor's cat ran, and the porch creaked. I forgot dinner one night and I was hungry. Those are how I remember. I do not know who Jonas was. I do not know why someone stitched that mark into so many costumes. I do not know what the scar means. The pediatrician's tests show odd nerve things. The camera shows a shadow that does not match. The receipt shows a town that changed. If you get a child's costume this year, check the seams. Look for tiny stitches. Lay 2 sleeves together. See if they make a line. I still wake some nights thinking of that painted face and the shadow that fell a beat late. I lock my doors. I keep a light on. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a town memory. Maybe it's a person. Jonas is a name I cannot forget. I'm not the type to believe in weird stuff. Never have been. But what happened last Halloween in my neighborhood, Ridgemont, just outside Columbus, I still can't explain it. And honestly, I don't think I want to. My name's Derek Paulson. I'm a parent. My daughter Emma was 7 at the time. Our PTA organized this big trick-or-treat trail thing because, not enough houses participate anymore. They set up this whole route through the community center parking lot with decorated stations. Made it feel safer, I guess. More controlled. The event ran late that year. They pushed it to 9 p.m. because of some permit issue with the fire department. Emma was exhausted by the time we finished, dragging her pillowcase full of candy. I remember she kept yawning in the car, and I had to carry her inside because she'd already half fallen asleep. Her shoes were still on when I tucked her in. I was too tired to care. Everything seemed normal for a week. Then my phone rang at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. It was Sarah Kellerman from 2 streets over. Her voice was shaking. She said her son woke up screaming at exactly 3:03, crying about forgetting something. When she asked what, he kept repeating, "The last house." The last house on the trail. I forgot the last house. Here's the thing, there was no last house. The trail ended at the raffle tent. I told Sarah maybe he had a nightmare, but she said no, he was insistent, genuinely distressed about it. Said he couldn't remember getting in the car to leave. Then Linda Cho called me that same morning. Her daughter said the exact same thing. Woke up at 3:03. I forgot the last house. My stomach dropped because Emma had been acting weird too. She'd been scratching at her shoulder constantly, saying it itched but never showing me. When I asked her about the trail, she got really quiet and said, "I don't remember leaving." Just stared at her hands. The PTA president, Janet, called an emergency meeting. She pulled all the invoices from the confectionery company we'd hired, some local place called Brenner's Sweet Supply. Everything checked out except one pallet. The packing slip was different, stamped by someone named D. Howell, but his employee ID was completely blacked out with marker. Janet called Brenner's, and they told her D. Howell had been fired 2 years ago for inventory discrepancies. They had no record of him accessing their warehouse recently. That's when people started panicking. Janet got the security footage from the community center. We all watched it together in her living room. At 11:58 p.m., hours after the event ended, a volunteer in an orange vest walked into the storage trailer carrying identical treat bags. But here's what made my hands go cold. The timestamp suddenly jumped from 11:58 to 12:03. 5 minutes just gone. And when the figure turned toward the camera, their face blurred for exactly 1 frame. Not like a glitch, like something deliberately smudged it out. We sent 3 bags to a lab. No drugs, no chemicals, just this oily residue on the wrappers that wouldn't wash off easily. When it finally did, it left a perfect circle on your skin, like someone pressed a coin into you. I tried scrubbing one with dish soap. Took forever to fade. Emma finally let me see her shoulder. There it was, a circular mark, about the size of a quarter. Faint, but definitely there. I checked her clothes. On the tag of her favorite hoodie, the one she wore that night, there were 3 tiny circular impressions pressed into the fabric. Left seam, perfectly aligned. All 3 kids had them. Same marks, same placement. I drove to Brenner's Sweet Supply on Thursday to ask questions. The woman at the counter looked confused when I explained why I was there. She pulled out their visitor log, flipped through it, then stopped. Her face went pale. "Sir, it says you were here on Sunday." "What?" "Number." "Today's Thursday. This is my first time here." She turned the ledger toward me. There was my name, Derek Paulson, logged for Sunday, 3 days from now, and beside it, in scratchy handwriting, "Pick the wrong one." I didn't ask what that meant. I just left. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely start my car. Emma doesn't talk about that night anymore. She stopped scratching her shoulder, but the mark's still there, faint but permanent. Sometimes I catch her staring at nothing. Sometimes I wake up at 3:03 a.m. for no reason. I don't hear anything, I don't see anything, but I always feel like I forgot something important, something I was supposed to remember. My name's Jake Thompson, and I come from Seattle, Washington. This unsettling business started brewing last October, when I stepped up to help with the youth group at our cozy church in the suburbs. My buddy's daughter is involved, and I had evenings free after my gig at the hardware store. We were organizing a lantern walk for Halloween, a laid-back event. Neighbors parading with paper lanterns, fostering vibes, gathering funds for the local pantry. The pastor cornered me after service. "Jake," he drawled, sipping his lukewarm tea. "Handle the order for 300 kits, yeah?" I agreed, dialed up this nearby supplier named Lumina Goods. They emailed the invoice pronto, packing slip included, with a solitary employee initial, sort of a loopy S. I jotted it down on a napkin, since my notebook was buried in my truck under tools. The walk played out smooth, crisp air, lanterns casting warm glows on faces. My friend's girl clutched hers tight, skipping ahead. Around 240 attendees, so surpluses got stashed in the church attic. I lugged boxes up the narrow stairs, nearly tripping on a loose rug. Always happens when I'm rushed. But 2 nights later, odd calls flooded in. Kicked off with Miss Lee from the cul-de-sac. She hit up the pastor at crack of dawn, tone all jittery. "My son sat up sharp at 3:03 a.m., she murmured, chanting Birchwood Drive non-stop. He doesn't know the place. Pastor shared it with me over donuts in the break room. The glaze stuck to my fingers, messy eater that I am. I brushed it off, chalked it to spooky season vibes, yet more poured in. 6 families, kids snapping awake at dead-on 3:03, echoing Birchwood Drive. One lady spotted a wee round scar on her kid's forearm, resembling a snap closure. "Brand new," she stressed. I inspected my pal's daughter later as she doodled at the kitchen table. Nada. Still, this peculiar hum settled in my chest, like indigestion but not. I nosed into the supplier. Called him, kept it light. Operator affirmed the order was solid, but their return tally shorted 12 lanterns. "Math glitch, most likely," she sighed. Ended the call, then scanned the driver's GPS trace from the email. Flagged him at a shuttered recycling depot for precise 12 minutes amid the delivery run. Sites padlocked after hours. I cruised by during my smoke break, ashes flicking onto my sleeve. Bad habit. Chain fence sagged, litter swirling in the breeze. Stood gawking, felt like a fool chasing shadows. Sleep evaded me that eve. My aunt's clock downstairs ticks loud when the house quiets, always has since I moved in. Wound up emailing the supplier for extras. Zilch from them, but they nudged toward the depot surveillance. Phoned the overseer next morning. He huffed, but forwarded a file batch. One clip corrupted, timed to that slot. He patched it rough, Viewed it. 15 ticks of a dude, ain't the driver, creasing paper meticulous in low light, humming faint. Boosted audio, though. Shifted to telephone pad chimes, punching digits. Spun it back 5 times. Neck hairs stood prickly. Dawn broke. I looped home pre-church, left the garage light on overnight, bulb buzzing faint. Rummaging for gloves, I unearthed a rogue lantern crammed beside lawn gear. No clue its origin, I hauled none. Peeled it open, cautious, and nestled in. A time-worn receipt from a truck stop, marked 1991. Edge scribble, Birchwood Drive. Grip faltered, initials synced with that S on the slip. Hustled to church, flipped open volunteer rosters. Surplus autograph at tail end, strangers. Mirrored the receipt's hand. "This guy?" I queried the pastor, throat dry. He squinted, shrugged broad. "Random helper, perhaps." Come noon, church dropped walk snapshots online. I magnified one. Hindmost lantern fuzzy strange. Peered nearer. A tidy perforation sliced through, like geared to pluck an item, then scrapped the plan. Rest's been fitful. Kids' murmurs ceased, scar dissolved. But that ticking clock jars me nightly, and those chimes replay in lulls. Birchwood Drive's legit, edge of town, vacant patch at terminus. Rolled through once, rain pattering the windshield. Barren. But it clings, yeah. Like a loose thread you can't snip, pulling at your thoughts.